Welcome. This is the first YouTube video. There's not going to be any crazy hooks or probably any point in watching it. It's going to be me talking to the camera, telling you my goals, my dreams for the future, for this channel, for my life in general. This video is more for me. I can prove to myself that I can go out and shoot a video, that I can speak to the camera comfortably, that I can get the shots that I want, that I can then go in and edit them and make an actual video that has some form of coherent start to finish, some story. I've made videos before, I guess, for different things, but I've never made a video for YouTube. And so here I'm starting. I think I've got the shooting part of it down. The particular settings and the setup in terms of equipment. I think for me it's the editing part, that kind of post-production bit. Once you've shot everything, is then, how do you edit into a, beginning, middle, and end type story or video, to how then do you actually upload that to YouTube as well. I'm doing this all on an iPhone, so I need to see, like, I know it's possible, but I need to prove to myself that I can do it. Because I've got all these different ideas that I want to do for content, for videos, but then I've not even made a video yet. So it's like I need to, once I prove to myself I can make a video, then I'm proving to myself that I can make those other videos that I really want to make. So that's why with this video it's just me going to talk to the camera, because I don't want to do anything flashy for a first one if I don't even know I can edit or upload. Just some dreams of mine in general. I want to do more, I want to put more effort into the content creation. That's Instagram as well as YouTube. I think there's just so many like unique or interesting opportunities that can come of it. And I'm a creative person. I'd say I'm more experienced within the music side of things. I play guitar, I can play some basic piano, but I've always had an interest in photography or video production. And YouTube's always something I wanted to start. Maybe since 14, so about 11 years. I don't know why I've never given it a go. Maybe it's that fear of failure, potentially. The a fear of looking cringe or weird. I don't know. I think I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't care about that anymore. I mean, I do. Like, there's certainly a level of me that does still care about what people think. But I think the important thing is not letting it get to you, or not letting it dictate how you live your life and what actions you take. So yeah, I want to get more into kind of content creation because I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy, filming little things or trying to make a story. I'd like to think I'm, in my head I've got a talent for it, but that's why you've got to actually make the things. I mean, I'm sure I probably think I'm good at a lot of things in my head until you put it into practice and you realise you're not. So this is why I'm doing this, to prove to myself that I can. And, I'm just trying different things at the moment. The Instagram side of things, different kind of content that I thought, maybe didn't think I had an interest in making, or just trying to see what I like, what part of the process that I enjoy. I know for me, like one aspect that I do enjoy is being out and filming, in capturing content. Like I find that fun, trying to like think of, a composition of a shot. That excites me, that part. From the little things that I've edited so far, I've enjoyed, part of that process. I think editing actually takes a lot longer than what you think, even for like short form videos like Instagram. It does take a lot of effort or time as well. So yeah, content creation is one of my goals, and I think within that, that can mean loads of different things. One like major thing that I'd love for this channel is more like adventure travel type videos, whether there's some kind of challenge or restriction you put on like a journey. It's not just a case of a vlog like here's me in Japan or something. Like there's something to it. There's a focal point to the video. Things like that really interest me. For example, Simon Wilson, the travel YouTuber, he'll go to different places, but there'll be like a specific point sometimes. So like trying 1-star hotels or 1-star cruises, and then the luxury side of it as well. And there's like a YouTuber, GeoWizard, so he's much more of like an adventure YouTuber, that straight line mission or a mission across a city, but you can't use roads. So like little challenges like that really interest me, or really excite me. The thought of doing them, and like I would like to do them even if I didn't have the camera. But then, why not film them and share them with the world? And that's another reason why I want to start creating content, because I really want to build a community. That's just something for the past maybe a couple of years, is something that I've felt pretty strongly about. I moved out of my, or I moved out on my own last year. And one thing I really wanted to do was like build a community in my local area. And I would say I did that in a specific way. It's maybe less so. I've got less involvement now, but that idea of community building is something that has meant a lot to me for the past couple of years, for various reasons. And that's just something I'd love to do with YouTube and with Instagram, just having that online presence. I think it's just so important for me. I think that's came from traveling. I think when I went on my first solo trip and came back from it, it was only for a week in Europe, but even coming back from that, I just realized how important like human connection is, and having people around you. And that's one of my goals with the channel, is having that, building that for people, building that for myself as well. Another reason for this channel is, for about the past probably year now, a lot of my mental energy has been stuck in the past. Again, that's just for different reasons. And I still, even 13 months later, I'm still kind of living in the past in a sense, and kind of putting a lot of mental energy thinking about that. I'm still living in the present moment, and thinking about different things that I can do, and planning that in. And for me, I think like, what do I want for my future? Not thinking about what happened before or what my life might have looked like before. Think about, what do I want now? What goals do I have? And actually doing something about them, proving to myself that I can achieve them. And again, that's part of why I want to do this, is because it's something I've wanted to do. It's proving to myself that you're moving on, in a sense. You're putting yourself first. You're not prioritizing the past, so you're not prioritizing things you wanted in the past. You're prioritizing what do I want now, and then going for it. So that's another reason, is just saying to myself, you're doing it. It's like you're living a life that you want to live, not what you thought you wanted to live or what you might have wanted to have lived before. It's you're doing what you want to do now. And I think as well, with the channel and with social media, I'd like to be honest about, you know, my feelings, or like how I felt about a certain situation, and my kind of motivations for doing what I'm doing. I think that's really important. That's kind of links in with that, the community aspect of it. Is if you want to build connections, you've got to be vulnerable. You've got to show your personality, who you are. And once you do that, people can see who you are, and then they start to show their personalities and become vulnerable, and that's how connection happens. And you start to build that community. If I want to build something, it starts with me. It starts with me being vulnerable to people, and or being emotional, and showing who I am, my values, my beliefs, my goals. It's all got to start with me if it's my content. So that's another, focal point of the channels, is having that, and also just other social media as well. So what's in store for the channel coming up? I've not got that far yet. I think if I can create this video and you're watching it right now, that's the first step. That's a good sign. That's the sign that, okay, I can do it. And these videos that I've thought about, they've become more possible. I can make them happen. So yeah, if you're watching it, then it's a good sign. There's more to come. So, I've got some ideas. I think I don't want to give too much away, but I'm thinking of doing a challenge in September, and it will be across Europe, probably from London or Paris to either Athens or Istanbul. It's going to be about maybe 10 to 14 days, I think. So I won't say what the challenge is just yet, but I'm thinking of that. If I can do that, that'll be fun. That'll be good. Um, well, maybe not for me, but um, it'll be interesting to say the least. There's also the Esports World Cup in August, and chess is in it. I love chess. It's one of like my main like hobbies or interests. I would love to go. It's in Paris, and it's middle of August, I think. So I need to see if I can go, because like I say, I live by myself, so I've got responsibilities money wise, and I've got that trip in September. So I need to see money situation, but I'm hoping I can go. I can make it happen. So if that goes ahead, that would be cool. And I would like to make a video for that too if I go. But besides that, I'm thinking of different ideas that I can make. But I think create this video first. If this is up on YouTube, then yeah, it's a good sign. It's maybe actually worth just saying what I like then, like my interest, so you can get to know a bit more about me. I've already mentioned chess. I do love chess. I learned it maybe a few years ago and went off it for a few years, just getting busy with other things, didn't go off it. But I've gotten back into it in the past year, and that's been really great. It's been quite like it's a very comforting thing. I think chess for me is something that can be exciting and you can like really get into, and it's also something like I can nap to. So it's like it's just everything. The World Championship's actually coming up in November as well. Yavakir Sindarov and Gukesh Domaraju. He's the world champion. So I'm excited for that. That'll be good. So yeah, chess. It'd be fun to make some kind of chess content for sure. Music, I think I mentioned that guitar and some basic piano. Um, I actually do have like a dream of making an album before I die. I would love to. I'd love to create an album. I think that'd be so cool. It is like a dream of mine. Kind of music I like. Coldplay. They get a lot of hate, but Coldplay is the best. They're best band. Radiohead is my second favorite, and then Avenged Sevenfold, which are a metal band. They're my third favorite. I do like quite a mixture. I like the kind of girly pop stuff. Sabrina Carpenter is good. Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, Chapel Roan. And then another interest of mine is quizzing. I love pub quizzes. They're quite big here in Scotland, and I go once or twice a week. But I just love them. Just fun. Like if there's a competition, quizzing or chess is like I'm right up there with that. So yeah, those are some interests of mine. And then of course traveling as well. Traveling's harder in the sense that I can just I can like play chess whenever I want. I can go to a quiz every week and pick up my guitar. But you can't just go away all the time um, if you're traveling. You know, no, you can't go away all the time to travel because you can't afford it or you don't have the time. But that's like I love just getting out there, and I would say I'm more spontaneous. I don't like to Google things before I go. I just like rocking up and seeing where the world takes me. Asking a stranger for a recommendation or just anything. That's how I like to travel. And it's something I'd like to convey, in these videos as well, going forward. So yeah, that's kind of more on who I am, what I like. More on the goals for this channel. Where I see things going and my kind of focus on, where I want my life to go at the moment. Just taking action, try to make a difference, to my own life and also to others, hopefully. That's the goal. That's like the main driving factor for all of this is, a few weeks ago, I was quite emotional about things, and then I was thinking about lying on my deathbed, thinking if I was where I currently am now in my, current job or, position in life. And don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for the position that I've got in my life. I'm very grateful for it. I am very fortunate. And I was thinking if, I was lying there, how would I look back on my life? And I just think I would not be fulfilled. I wouldn't lie there and think, wow, I did something. I just don't think I'd be fulfilled and happy with how I live my life, even though I'm very lucky with the life that I've got. And then, you ask yourself the question, well, what would being fulfilled look like? What would make you fulfilled if you were lying there at the end of your life? And like the main thing for me was making a difference. I want to make a difference in the world, whether that's a small impact or a large one. That's like like a core belief or value, a core value of mine's now. That these actions that I take is this making an impact? First, I think it needs to make an impact to myself, so I can then do more. And that's a big part of the channel and the content creation is hopefully it can make an impact again to myself and others, and I can look back on my life in years to come and think, wow, I am making a difference, or I have made a difference and lived a life that's been fulfilling. So I think you've got the gist of the channel. If you've watched this, then thank you for watching. I know it's not, again, the exciting hooks and um, it's really just listening to another person talk. So, um, thank you. And again, this video is more for myself. This is just for myself, that I can make a video and put it out there and, be vulnerable and not care what people think. So, yeah, thank you.